MashaAllah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
How are you, bro?
Bro, I'm pretty good, alhamdulillah.
It's okay if I use your name, your first name?
Of course, and you can call me.
Abdullah. Okay.
You can call me like my family calls me, Ablie.
Ablie? Ablie? How do you say it?
Europeans would say Ablie, but it's Ablie.
Ablie.
Mm-hmm.
Ablie. Uh, I don't know. I might switch between that because I know you as Abdullah. That's so I might end up using that more. We'll see.
Okay.
MashaAllah. So, just this is the first interview, and it might be we might do another one again at some point, but this is to work the kinks out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And
I'm honored to be here as kind of should I say I'm honored to be the first person to be interviewed by you
MashaAllah.
for your channel.
Yes. It's gonna be. It's gonna be a little awkward because I want to make sure everything's. But anyways, no. All I wanted to. I was gonna just ask. Yeah. And again, you don't have to say. You can omit any information you want. You don't have to answer or do anything. But whatever you want to give. I wanted to ask, where are you from, and what was your, like, growing up as a child and becoming an adult, what was your relationship with Islam?
I will try to be as brief as possible, even though it's my weakness to be brief. Okay. No, I was born in a small fishing town. It was a small fishing town. Now it is a town, kind of a bit expanded. But at at the age of 2, I was given to my great grandma, and my great grandma, let me say, my great grandfather was a great spiritual leader and scholar. Yeah,
Mm.
and but I didn't see him. But I was brought up by my great grandma, and by that time, my great grandma's first son, my great uncle, was the Khalif. This is how they call him, Khalif of this community of my
Mm.
great grandfather.
Yes. Okay.
It's like back home we say majlis.
Mm.
So this is how religious knowledge was transmitted. It's like a community is like an institution. So a spiritual leader has its own. Every spiritual leader or great scholar have their own kind of institution, and this is how we knew who was trustworthy and who wasn't trustworthy. Like, you are educated, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
From where? I am a student of this community, and then right away they don't need a certificate to prove. And how were students graduated in these traditional settings? They just put a mama on them. I don't know, turban.
Mm.
That's how they graduate, and only maybe about 10, 15 years of studies with this particular institution. But anyway, back to me again. And so I grew up around this religious knowledge. Every evening we used to be around the fire. That's our traditional way of teaching Islam. In the evening they bring firewood, yeah, in the
Mm.
evening, and like campfire. So we are around it with our tablets, yeah,
Yes.
and read Quran and so on, yeah, mostly. Okay, I grew up, and that's where I would say I learned my Fatiha and this
MashaAllah.
other short surahs, but I couldn't read. I could only mimic or you know, because it's like you sing along, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So that's how I was. So I would say I was around Islam, being the Gambia being a Muslim country. So there there was a mosque, and still there is this mosque where my grandma was, great grandma was. The mosque is just 1 meter or 1.5 meter away from my building, my house.
Mm.
Yeah, so I was with my great grandma until I turned 7. Then I went back to my mom and dad in my hometown, Kanje, you know.
Mm.
Yeah. So there too, I used to go in the evenings to study Quran. Again, these short surahs, and yeah, and yeah. But I would say I wasn't. I was praying, because it, if I didn't pray, my mom would spank me so hard. Yeah,
Mashallah. Yeah.
yeah. And when I got to the high school, this was my turning point, another turning, like, in my life. I went to the high school when I was almost 18.
Mm.
First, yeah, let's say 17, 20, 18.
Mm-hmm.
I went to high school, yeah, 10th grade. So I was 1 year late for school. Yeah. There I met this Tabligh Jamaat, and then, okay, I was very ordinary Muslim before that. Then after, when I came there, then I started, like, pushing harder to became much more interested in knowing about Islam. Before it, I was just doing my prayer and obligations, fasting. That's it. But this one is like I became a da'i, like, tabligh is that is the purpose of tabligh movement. It's just to preach and travel around and preach.
Mm.
You know,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So then I started learning to read Quran. I mean, to read the text, Arabic text, to be able to read, to learn. I learned how to read Arabic and stuff like that, and yeah, and I was able to finish um, two juice, like,
Mm.
Tabara, Juz Arman, Juz Tabara. I was able to finish that when I was in the 10th grade. I was able to
Mashallah.
memorize both of these juice
Ooh.
at that time, and then as as time goes, I was able to go up to Yasin, but not memorize. I memorized Yasin, Surah Yasin itself before, but not memorize the whole until Yasin. Only two just Tabara I memorized, and then individuals, and then went to Yasin and memorized Yasin. But now I would say again, while you are so involved in this world stuff, I would say I have lost the memory.
Mashallah.
So fast, how do you say? Fast forward to my current state.
Mm-hmm.
Another turning point. So you see the stages. The first stage is just around my traditional family. The second stage, tabligh. The third stage, I traveled out of the country for the first time in 2012, and then I found out that what I thought was traditional Orthodox, I mean Orthodox Islam, that I what I thought was Sunni Islam was actually the opposite. I mean, wasn't really the Sunni Islam.
Hmm.
So I thought my forefathers' way, especially my great grandfather's way, was Sufism, and for me, Sufism wasn't Sunnism. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? I didn't know that it was one, and I didn't know that Malikiya was kind of a school of thought within the Sunni school. I thought it was another sect. Just call
Hmm.
myself Muslim, simple as that. Because Tabligh, we want unity. We call it, like, we preach unity. So we don't we at that time. Okay, now Tabligh too, I got information that actually they promote following madhabs, by the way.
Hmm.
By that time, in the kind of Tabligh I was in Gambia was a bit more close to so-called Salafism.
Hmm.
So we were saying, okay, don't call yourself this or that. We are just Muslims. So no, we don't talk about. They call it auratul ummah. This is how we call it in Tabligh,
Hmm.
talking about other sects or trying to expose the deviancy of others. We call it awratul ummah. So we don't talk about politics, we don't talk about convictions, we don't talk about, we talk about unity and the lives of the Sahaba. Simple.
Hmm.
It was inspiring, but to be honest, it was really inspiring. You kind of follow Sunnah a lot, but unfortunately, you don't know far many at times.
Hmm.
Then, okay, fast forward. I
You said the fard, like the fard al ain.
Further Ain, we didn't. It was not
Ah.
something we were. We just. It was a Wahhabi influenced tabligh in that region. So it's
Hmm.
like we only say Quran and Sunnah, simple.
Hmm.
So, but we didn't understand that you have to learn fiqh Further Ain, and fiqh Further Ain you need to understand it based on one of the schools. No,
Hmm.
we didn't understand this. Later on, now, I mean, few years ago, I mean, about 5 years or 6 years to now, our guys back home from Pakistan, India, I think they started spreading some information that we need to follow madhab. I hear about this from my former friends. Anyway, well, how I became much more interested in fiqh and aqidah. Before it was Quran, and then I just read translations of hadith for myself. Um, I when I started communicating to my wife, to be honest. So
Hmm.
I she started informing me about the madhabs, following madhabs, and what is bid'ah and what is not bid'ah, and I got interested in, and I had a lot of questions too because I always ask questions, and I'm still like that. I had a lot of questions.
Hmm.
But
MashaAllah.
if bid'ah is two types of bid'ah, I want proof. Then
Yes.
proofs were sent to me. I was convinced. Yeah, okay, fine. I wouldn't go to Maulid, but I will not go against anyone. So this is how I started. Like, okay, I'm convinced by following Madhab and the Aqidah. Oh, God. A lot of questions came. But there's a translation. I had a lot of books from Saudi Arabia,
MashaAllah.
I had a lot of translated books from Saudi Arabia published by Darussalam. And among these, there were hadiths about hadith of Hajar, the slave girl.
Hmm.
And I said, what about this? Then she was sending me English materials from Jami'iyya, to understand this and
Hmm.
introduce me to someone who speaks English better and is I mean, also understands really.
Yes.
That person also explained it to me and then brought proof to me. Yeah, I was trying. But then I questions are coming. But why that? Why then this? And finally, I accepted this, um, and felt a bit upset that we were being fooled, uh, being being tricked by this so-called mentality, so-called ideology, or ideology that our forefathers were deviants. It upset me so much. Then I became a bit more radical against that movement that made us believe this. You
Hmm.
know, so I became more interested. I was learning a lot with English speaking teachers, and I followed. But in that during that time also, I was following a couple of people who claim to be traditional Sunnis too. I was following Diobandi speakers on YouTube a lot. I was following Berawi speakers on YouTube, even though these two groups don't see eye to eye, but still I see them as Sunnis because they all claim to follow Maturidi and Hanafiya.
Hmm.
Yes, I was following them a lot. Then I bump up on Hamza Yusuf. I was following him a lot, even more than the teacher who was teaching me from the Jamaica. I was still following these guys more.
Hmm.
as listening to their YouTube stuff and so on. But the reason why I reduced following them was I couldn't reconcile with Ibn Taymiyyah. They expose him, but they still put him in high status that even I using like honoring him,
Yeah.
as if those mistakes are those issues that he had are
They
not big deal.
yeah, they'll say he was misguided, but then they'll
Yes,
still say Sheikh al-Islam. So it's
exactly.
like
That was when I was done with Giovanni's at that time. I was like, I can't take this anymore. I want consistency, and I want you say it is serious to have such a belief, but you still honor him, and then with all this Sheikh al-Islam, I was done with it. Berawi's were a bit harder on Ibn Taymiyyah, some Berawi's. So I was still following those Berawi's too, but they also had some issues
oh yeah,
with
mashallah.
extremely saying things about the Prophet that I couldn't take it either. But I didn't stop completely following them. I just decided to focus on learning, yeah, and stop randomly going all over.
Yeah.
So Hamza Yusuf was really my mentor, I would say too, in terms of Maliki, because I wanted to know Maliki more. But then all these perennialism and all this stuff came up, all these that Italian, I don't know, philosopher, that was the last straw. His speech about the Italian philosopher, I don't know,
I have no idea. I don't
yeah,
follow
yeah,
him.
yeah, 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 on his Oxford speech or something like that. It was a big scandal about 4 years ago, or something like that. Yeah. So then I was like, okay, and then I see that his speech becoming like undermine, downgrading or downplaying even studying Aqidah.
Yeah.
And when I realized that, I'm like, okay, I cannot keep confusing myself. I need to focus on one thing, study
Mashallah.
personally, and then practice yourself and teach your family.
For a lot of for a lot of people,
Mhm.
especially in the West,
Yeah,
they have this idea of we can achieve unity by not talking about aqidah. It's like,
exactly. Yes,
and what they mean by that is we're not going to talk about the fact that we're completely different and most of us wouldn't even fit under most of them, excuse me, wouldn't even fit under the title of Muslim. Where they're just going to ignore that and like pretend, we're going to have the turban and we're going to have the thing and we're going to say the salam and that's what it's about. But that's really not what it's about in the hereafter. You know what I mean?
exactly. So then, but still, I was much more attached to. I'm still much more attached to Maliki. For some reason, my heart is not comfortable following any other madhab except Maliki. I think one of the reasons is I see myself going home to Gambia
Mm-hmm.
and die there. I don't want to live my rest for the rest of my life outside Gambia. So because of this, I wanted to learn Maliki fiqh
I
better.
I
But in
heard
most,
um I heard a
Mhm.
saying, and I'm not an expert, so I don't know how accurate this is, but
Mhm.
it was that the Maliki fiqh is kind of different than the rest of the three schools. And the
Yeah.
example that the person gave is that they said the school of Hanafi, Hanbali, and Imam Shafi'i,
Mhm.
their approach is like, teach me to build a house, and then I will go build a house.
Yeah.
The Maliki, according to this
Yeah.
person, the Maliki approach is build the house, and then I will watch you, and then I will go build a house.
Exactly. That is true, and that is why I told you earlier in my life. Okay, I forgot to mention that. Our people usually they want to be studying many people. I mean, most of us do not study from the Mukhtasar, right?
Hmm.
We look and imitate.
Mm-hmm.
We look and imitate. And the Malikis have this methodology called, in part of their methodology, their usul is Amal Madina. No other madhab has this, and no other madhab can have it anyway, because you have to be living in Medina to understand the practice of the people of Medina.
Mm.
And the practice, even I heard that even Ibn Taymiyyah, or Ibn Taymiyyah, if I could remember well, he himself said, um, I mean, praised and confirmed that Amal Medina is one of the strongest proofs. I couldn't
Mm.
remember. I, I just heard this. I didn't see the text, but
A
yeah.
lot of people say
In
a
any
lot of
way,
things, mashallah.
yes, yes. In any way, yeah. These Amal Medina is unique, and I'm much more convinced. They say the thing is, they say in Maliki school they consider the practice of 1,000 people to be stronger than an authentic one authentic hadith, because the authentic hadith is narrated by one person. It might be, it is authentic, yeah, but it's
Hmm.
narrated by one person. But the Amal of Medina, 1,000 people doing the same thing, they cannot be wrong against one person's claim.
Mm.
So
Mashallah.
again, it's not like we have to disregard that authentic hadith. But the thing is, probably the last thing the prophet did was what the 1,000 were doing before he died.
Mm. Mashallah.
So, hmm
So
yeah,
now you're in. Can I say where you live now? Is that all right?
yeah, it's all right.
You're in Russia now. You're in
Russia, yes.
Rus. What's how's that been going? And I mean in terms of like how has being in Russia? I mean, I guess you started learning from your. Well, I guess it's okay if I say your wife is from Russia too. Well, right? Like that's fine.
True, yeah, I would say
So you started learning from her when you were in Russia, basically. Is
no, 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 no,
no? Okay, okay.
no, 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 no,
Then
no.
explain it. Make it clear.
We've been married for almost 10 years, but I've been living in Russia only for 6 years.
Oh,
The
okay.
whole thing about being introduced to Jamaica was about, it's like 10 years ago, 10 to 11 years ago.
Mm. Okay.
Yes, yes, and before I even moved to Russia, I went to Senegal to study Maliki for 1 month.
Mm.
Maliki fiqh for 1 month, uh, from this city called Tiawan. It's a city of knowledge too, of one of the great scholars in the past, considered as saint. Imam Malik C. He founded the city, built the knowledge institution there.
Okay.
So I was there. Studying the fiqh of Malik, basics, basic knowledge. Yeah, and then while living in Russia too, I decided to go over again the basic knowledge with another Gambian imam in Norway.
Mm.
I also went over with one Gambian brother in Switzerland who is with the Jamia, but the rest are not with the Jamia. The ones I studied fiqh with Malik fiqh with.
Mm.
Yes. Well, in terms of Aqidah, I kept revising with the teachers in the Jamia, one
Mm.
in the US and one in the UK, repeating with them, and Alhamdulillah, yeah. And
Mashallah.
here
Good.
we have had a community here. Mostly I am there, but I have language barrier, so that's why I don't learn much from them.
Mm.
Yeah.
What language do they speak that you do not
They
speak?
speak Russian, and my Russian is pretty poor for learning religious knowledge, to be honest.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mashallah. Tim Tam Tom.
Huh?
Tim Tam Tom. Do you know what this means?
Yeah, Team Tom Tom. Yeah, it's like team is there. Team Tom is there. Tom is there.
Yeah. Tim
Hey,
Tam
team,
Tom.
Tom is there.
Mashallah. How is the part of your life that doesn't have to do with the religion, like how you make your money and how you You know, how
Yeah.
you do things. Did that, as you were learning, did you have to do a lot of changes to how you made your living and to what your plans were in terms of the dunya?
The only job I have had and known in my life has been teaching. Although I'm tired of it, I want to change something, to be honest. So, in the Gambia, in my second year of the university, I started teaching at the high school. At a high school,
Mm-hmm.
I was teaching financial accounting. I taught for 3.5 years, I think, if I could remember well, if I could recall well. Then I went to Taiwan to study, and then for my master's, and then I came to Russia. And in Russia, I, little did I know that I would become an English teacher. So
MashaAllah.
yeah, of course, I'm really happy that I became an English teacher because it has helped me a lot.
Yeah, your English is
Um,
pretty good,
and
bro.
I just, huh?
I said your English is pretty good. I think everybody who listens to this will understand you perfectly.
Yeah. So, well, so I teach English for a living.
MashaAllah. Did so we got 4 minutes, and then it'll be 30 minutes. I mean, there's no rush, but I did want to ask one more question. Um,
Sure.
what's if you want to say, you don't have to. Again, I feel like I'm going to be saying this a lot in every interview. You don't have to answer everything, but what is the future? What is Abdullah going to be doing in 5 years? What's the plan? How are we going to increase our knowledge? What are we going to do, bro?
Uh, um, with all this pandemic and now the third world war is brewing,
MashaAllah. Yeah.
with Pelosi going somewhere, uh, it's difficult to make a long term and detailed plan.
Mm-hmm.
So difficult now. You don't even. So sometimes I I am down. I feel a little bit down because I don't know exactly what I want to do in a year.
Mm.
So I have a bunch of plans, but you just can't predict anymore because the whole world is not stable
What's
anymore.
the dream? What's the dream then?
Oh, great. My dream, of course, is to have a career change. You know, um, teaching English. I will continue teaching English as my hobby.
Mm.
Uh, However, my main job, I I believe, will change. Will have changed in 5 years time.
Inshallah.
Yeah, and the area I want is this data science stuff. Yes. In
Yep.
terms of the religion, it's my dream to still, when if I get these, if I if I have the chance to change my career, I probably will move to a warm country, and Gambia is one of them. To go home, you know, earn my money online, but also go on learning the religious knowledge, learn the fiqh deeper,
MashaAllah.
and I'll probably share it with others.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, once you learn it, I have to come learn it from you, so that I can bring it back here.
I think Americans don't want this Russian guy.
Well, no, though, inshallah, Maliki fiqh can be useful here, bro.
Inshallah,
Because
yeah.
in a lot
But
of,
yes, that's uh-huh.
I was gonna say, in a lot of things, the Maliki position is often the easier position. Because I'm Shafi'i, and Shafi'i is. I mean, some people might disagree, but I think it's probably the strictest. Well, no, it depends. It can be pretty strict.
Exactly.
It,
That's
it
my
can be
point.
pretty strict, but I know there's another school that definitely has a lot stricter, judgments in it. But the Maliki, it's oftentimes, if I need to get a judgment that's easier for me, it's usually a Maliki judgment. So, mashallah.
I would say in the area of mu'amalat, in the area of financial dealings and business, Maliki is the easiest.
Oh, no doubt.
In the in the area of rituals, you have more detail in Maliki that you have to remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mashallah.
I think this is the difference. Because I learned Shafi with our teachers, right? In the Jahiyya, and I realized it seems they are similar in many cases,
Yes.
but in Malikis go a bit deeper. And for example, Sajdatul Sahur. Uh, God, that is complex to remember.
Mm.
Takes you all back to the Sunnatul Khafifiyya, Sunnatul Muakkada, back to all days and the Musabbih, and I'm sorry, Mustahab and all this stuff, because of just this two sajda that you need to do before or after Salam. So it's
Mashallah.
more detail and it's taken so seriously.
Yeah, I mean it's.
It is taken so seriously if you deliberately do sajda qabla salah. If you deliberately do qabla salam
Mm.
on issues that you shouldn't do qabla salam, could even invalidate your prayer.
Mashallah.
Yeah. So that's why I think in terms of rituals of salah and purification, probably I don't think Maliki is the easiest. But other than that, I believe. Other than that,
I mean, I would say it's because one thing I've learned about. I mean, well, I know for the making up the prayers, the judgments are easier than the Shafi'i. Because in Shafi'i, if you owe a lot of prayers, like you're just sinful until you make them all up, right? Which, if you owe, which some people do, years of prayers, you know, like I mean, 24/7, you have to be constantly making them up. So
I'm talking about the act of prayer.
yeah,
Ritual.
yeah. But I mean, like I said, it depends. I know.
Yeah.
I know, for example, in the Shafi'i.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm trying to remember because, so in the Shafi'i, in the basic thing is that the banking system is haram, but then there's another judgment, and I don't know if it's part of Shafi'i or not, that allows it to, that allows us to use the banks, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the, like you said, a lot of the financial stuff in the Shafi'i is, rather strict. Whereas in the Maliki, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a judgment that says if certain people give you their money, you can take it. You know what I mean? So, in some situations, it's incredibly easy. Mashallah.
Yeah. For example, what to eat and what not to eat, and what is najas.
Oh
example,
yeah,
these ones. So exactly. So these things are super laid back. So
because what I learned about the Maliki is that the cat hair, and this is a position, so there always might be more positions, but the one I learned is that the cat hair is not najis, even if it's wet. Whereas
you're talking about the cat hair.
Yeah, the cat hair.
Talking about dog.
Well, no, let me finish. So the cat hair is what my understanding, from what I remember, the cat hair is not najis, whether it's wet or not, and the dog hair is only najis if it's wet. Whereas in the Shafi'i school, both of them are always najis, whether they're dry or wet. So if you have a pet cat, it makes it incredibly difficult because you have to clear every single hair off of your clothes.
Exactly.
Whereas in the Maliki, a person, not that I'm advising it, but a person might have a dog, and it's easier for them to find a spot to pray. You know what I mean? And if they have a cat, then there's nothing to worry.
The saliva of a dog is not najis in Maliki.
Really? Because I know the saliva of the cat isn't, but I didn't hear about the dog.
The saliva of the dog is not, and if dog puts its mouth in your bowl or in your plate, that washing that you do is just uh, to get the reward for following sunnah. It is
Mm.
not because it is najis.
Mashallah. Yeah, there's a hadith, I believe,
Yes,
that
it is
says,
not because it is najis. It is because so they use Malikis use an ayah to prove that dog saliva it isn't najis.
Mashallah.
I can't remember this ayah very well, but I improvise saying that your hunting animal, what they catch is clean.
Oh.
And what is a hunting animal?
Mm.
A dog.
Yeah, for the
Is
cat,
is a
I
dog.
learned. For the cat, I learned that there was. Oh, I'm trying to remember. I think this is two hadith. One was, and I'm just so everybody is clear. I may get the details wrong, so I'm telling you what I remember, not what the religion says. But what I remember is that one of them was the lady Aisha had food. No, she was praying, and somebody brought food to her, and they put it down, and she was still praying, so she didn't get to it. And then a cat ate from it, and then after she got done praying, Lady Aisha ate the food that was on the plate, even though a cat ate from it. So that's one. And then the second is that the Prophet ﷺ, he used to let the cats drink the water that he was making wudu with. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the other one that I know.
Yeah, mashallah.
MashaAllah. Anyways, bro, 36 minutes. Um, normally, my plan is to normally let these interviews go on indefinitely until people get tired. But I know you have to go soon, and this is still kind of a test. I'm gonna upload this, and people are gonna hear it. Mashallah. Yeah, I just want to say it's been good talking with you, good chatting with you. I want to thank you for letting me interview you and get some of your story. And I was also thinking, inshallah, in the future we can have you and me will discuss topics, and then we'll upload that as like part of the talk. Because I was thinking, I have this series called Let's Talk, but it's just me talking, right? Nobody's disagreeing, nobody's questioning, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
inshallah, I'm gonna try to introduce a couple episodes where I'm chatting with somebody, and it's just 30 minutes. We talk about whatever, and then kind of like what we did today. But this video is gonna be in a separate. By the way, I'm explaining it because the people listening also. I know you know, but
yeah.
this video is gonna be in a separate series, separate playlist. I don't know if it'll be uploaded today or not. We'll have to see. Anyways, any last things you want to say to people? Any messages? Any advice? Anything you want people to hear? Do you have any social media or anything you want to plug?
Yeah, bro. First of all, thanks for having me. Okay, and my last word, well, I don't think I'm good at giving advice. I have social media and I my Facebook, and I think many people following you know about.
I think everybody who hears this is going to know who you are.
Yeah, who am I?
Yeah,
Yes,
they
and
already
they're
know.
gonna know who I am, and I'm bombarding everyone with my political post on Facebook, of course.
MashaAllah.
Yeah, and of course, I would share. I would ask people to make dua um, for me, and um,
Inshallah.
and that we continue having the interest to learn the religion because it's too important. It's so difficult now to allocate time
Yeah.
to learning religious knowledge because we are all having our issues and our problems, and they are deterring us from going to religious cycles. And we have also for some people they have try they have trials with their communities. You know, for example,
Mm.
where I am now, we don't have any community, and subhanallah, our imam moved to his own republic, and then you become disconnected. And
Mm.
so they say people who are fortunate are the ones who Allah facilitated them to learn the religious
MashaAllah.
knowledge. These are the
Yes.
people who are more fortunate. And when you are distanced from learning the religious knowledge, you feel like it is not a good sign, you know.
Mm. Yeah.
And
MashaAllah.
so I would ask Allah to forgive us, and also give us the strength to be hungry and thirsty for the religious knowledge,
Ameen.
and die as Muslims and believers, and also be pious, be very, very connected
Ameen.
with Allah. Yeah.
Barakallahu feek, bro.
Ameen wa fiq, bro Jeffrey.
MashaAllah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.